I was scrolling through my phone when I saw it. One stupid, careless mistake that changed everything. A WhatsApp message not meant for me popped up on the family group. It was from my uncle, and it said, "She's too dumb to stop funding us." Just like that. No sugarcoating, no hidden meaning. It hit me like a punch in the gut. I read it again, hoping I misunderstood. But there it was, in black and white. I froze. My ears started ringing. It was like my whole body rejected the words, but my brain couldn't let them go. That single sentence flipped my entire world upside down. Because for years, I believed I was helping. I thought I was being the good niece, the responsible one. I sacrificed trips, dreams, even jobs to make sure they were okay. And in one message, I realized it was never appreciated. Worse, it was mocked. That moment cracked something inside me. I knew then that nothing would ever be the same again. After reading that message, I couldn't sleep. My mind started replaying every single moment, every late-night call asking for money, every excuse they gave, every time I said yes, even when I couldn't afford to. I thought I was helping family. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. But now I saw it all differently. That time I canceled a trip to pay their bills, manipulation, that loan I never got back, a setup. Every thank you suddenly sounded fake. It was like pulling a thread and watching the whole story unravel. I started asking myself things I never dared to before. Why was it always me? Why did no one else step up? Why did I feel so guilty when I wanted to say no? It hit me, because they made sure I did. For years, they told me I was the only one they could count on. I wore that like a badge of honor, not realizing it was a leash. I was raised to believe family comes first, but now I understood. In their version of family, I was just an ATM with emotions. That realization shattered something sacred. I wasn't just betrayed. I had been groomed to betray myself. I didn't make a dramatic announcement. I didn't scream or confront anyone. I just stopped. The next time they asked for help, I said, I couldn't. Simple. No excuses, no explanations, and that tiny word, no, landed like a grenade. Aunt Lucia called immediately, all sweetness and concern, asking if I was okay. I said I was fine. Then she got to the point. They needed help with rent. Again. I told her I wasn't in a position to help this time. The silence on the other end was heavy. Then came the sighs, the carefully crafted guilt. We wouldn't ask if we weren't. Desperate, she said. You know we've always appreciated your help. But her voice didn't sound appreciative. It sounded expectant, like I was breaking a silent contract. I hung up shaking. Saying no wasn't empowering at first. It was terrifying. But I stayed firm. I didn't reply to follow-up texts. I didn't pick up calls. I kept my distance. For the first time, I started thinking about what I wanted, not what they needed. And in that space of silence, something started to grow. A voice I hadn't heard in years, my own. It wasn't loud yet, but it was steady. And I wasn't going back. That's when they switched tactics. When silence didn't work, they turned up the pressure. The calls came in daily now. Missed calls from Uncle Sergio. Voice notes from Aunt Lucia filled with concern that felt more rehearsed than real. Then came the guilt. Grandma's worried about you, they said. She doesn't understand why you're shutting us out. I knew exactly what they were doing, using her to get to me. Grandma had always been neutral, never really asking questions, never taking sides, and I knew she wasn't part of this, not really. But they were twisting her into a pawn. I didn't respond. They upped the ante. Suddenly, I was the ungrateful one, the selfish niece who forgot who raised her, even though it wasn't them. They rewrote the past like it was a bad movie script. I got texts from cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, all suddenly concerned. That's when it really sank in. They had built an entire story around me, one where I was heartless, abandoning my family. But for the first time, I didn't argue back. I let them talk. Because I realized something powerful. The moment I stopped playing their game, they lost control. And that silence? It was starting to feel like peace. I didn't plan to involve Grandma. I thought protecting her meant keeping her in the dark. But life had other plans. One afternoon, she accidentally forwarded me a screenshot of the very message that started it all, the one where Uncle Sergio called me too dumb to stop funding them. Maybe she was trying to send it to someone else, or maybe she was finally ready to face the truth. Either way, it hit her. She called me right after. Her voice shook. "I didn't know," she kept saying. "I swear I didn't know." And I believed her. Because there was something in her tone, real heartbreak. For the first time, she wasn't neutral. She was shocked, disgusted, and silent. The kind of silence that comes when your whole world shifts. She didn't defend them. She didn't ask me to forgive them. She just sat with it. I could feel her guilt through the phone. All those times she asked me to be patient with them. All the times she thought I was exaggerating. I think that message cracked something inside her too. Because from that moment, the calls from my aunt slowed down. The voice notes stopped. And I knew. Grandma had finally seen them for who they were. A few days later, Aunt Lucia showed up at my door. No warning, no message, just rang the bell like everything was normal. I didn't want to let her in, but part of me needed to hear what she had to say. She started soft. "We're family," she said. "We always help each other." I didn't answer. Then she shifted. Tears, shaking hands, the full show. "You think I don't care about you?" she asked. "I'm just going through a lot." And then she pulled the guilt card. "Your grandma's sick over this. She's not eating." I knew that was a lie. I'd spoken to Grandma the night before. She was fine. That's when I realized my aunt didn't come to apologize. She came to reset the dynamic, to get me back in line. And maybe a few months ago it would have worked. But I was different now. I looked her in the eye and said, "I'm not your bank." That stopped her cold. Her whole expression changed, like she'd been slapped. She said something under her breath and stormed off. I watched her walk away and felt nothing. Not guilt, not sadness, just clarity. That line, "I'm not your bank," wasn't just for her. It was for me too. I thought that was the end of it. I really did. But then, one morning, I got a notification from my bank. Money had been withdrawn. A lot. And I hadn't authorized it. My stomach dropped. I checked the transaction, and it was a physical withdrawal. Someone had walked into a branch and taken my money. I called the bank immediately. They froze my account and launched an investigation. The woman on the phone asked, "Do you know who might have access to your information?" And my blood ran cold. Only one person had ever helped me set up that account years ago, Uncle Sergio. I hadn't thought about it in forever, but it made sense. I gave them the name. The bank said they'd notify the authorities. I hung up and just sat there. I felt violated, not just financially, emotionally. It was betrayal on another level. Later that evening, my phone rang. It was him. No shame, no guilt, just anger. "You didn't have to go that far," he said. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just told him the truth. "You committed a crime." And then I hung up. That moment, that was when the fear finally left my body. Once the police got involved, everything crumbled fast. The bank confirmed the withdrawal was unauthorized and they reversed the transaction. That was the official part. But the unofficial fallout? That's where it got real. Grandma stopped speaking to Aunt Lucia, not out of anger, but out of disappointment. You could hear it in her voice. That quiet kind of heartbreak that doesn't yell, just lets go. And Uncle Sergio? He didn't even try to defend himself. In fact, they turned on each other. She said he manipulated her. He said she was the mastermind. They argued loud enough for the neighbors to hear. The family chat died. Nobody posted. Nobody asked questions. It was like everyone collectively backed away. I heard from a cousin that Uncle Sergio packed his stuff and left, said he couldn't deal with the drama. Aunt Lucia was alone now, completely. And it was strange. I thought I'd feel satisfaction, maybe even victory. But I didn't. I just felt done. Like I had nothing left to give and nothing left to lose. The chaos was no longer mine to manage. I had stepped out of the storm, and I wasn't going back in. Not for anyone. Just when I thought it was truly over, Aunt Lucia tried one last time. She sent a voice note, 3 minutes long. Her voice was shaky, like she'd been crying. She said she didn't know what else to do, that she never meant to hurt me, that everything had been Sergio's idea. She said she was just scared, that she didn't want to lose the family. And for a second, I paused. Not because I believed her, but because I remembered how many times I had believed her before. I listened to the whole message, then played it again. And that's when I noticed it. She never apologized. Not once. Not for the years of guilt, not for the lies, not even for the theft. Just excuses and a soft tone meant to trigger the old me. But the old me was gone. I didn't reply. I didn't save the audio. I deleted it. And in that small action, I felt something shift. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving I was right. It was about refusing to let her story rewrite mine. That was her final attempt, and I let it fade into silence. The money came back. The account was secured. And for the first time in years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next crisis. It was quiet, peaceful. There were no more late-night calls, no emergency texts, no sudden guilt trips. Just me, my own space, and the kind of silence that feels earned. Aunt Lucia faded from the picture completely. No one mentioned her anymore. Even Grandma didn't ask. It was like the family had closed a chapter without needing to say it out loud. I started doing little things I used to put off. Cooking just for fun, reading again, saving up for a trip I'd once canceled to pay their bills. And one day, while walking home from work, I realized I felt light. Not happy, not ecstatic, just light. Like I wasn't carrying the weight of everyone else's problems anymore. That feeling, that was freedom. Not just financial, but emotional. It took me years to see it, but saying no wasn't cruelty. It was survival. And as I finally let go of the guilt, I whispered to myself, now I'm free. If you've ever felt trapped by people who should love you, maybe this is your sign. It's okay to break the cycle.